Columbus, Ohio, April 1st, 2006. An unsolved mystery that has haunted investigators and the internet for nearly 2 decades. It was a Friday night like any other in a busy college town. Students from Ohio State University flooded the bars and clubs along High Street in Columbus, blowing off steam before spring break. Among them was Brian Shaffer, a 27-year-old medical student with shaggy hair, a charming smile, and a life that from the outside looked bright. Brian was celebrating. He had just finished his final exams. In a few days, he was planning to leave for a tropical vacation in Miami with his girlfriend, Alexis, possibly to propose. But first, a night out. He started the evening with dinner and drinks with his father, Randy. Later, he met up with friends at a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a loud, colorful hangout on the second floor of a mall complex. Security cameras near the escalator captured him arriving at 1:15 a.m. with his two friends. That would be the last confirmed sighting of Brian Shaffer. Ever. What makes this case so chilling isn't just that Brian vanished, it's that he seemed to vanish into thin air. Surveillance footage outside the bar shows Brian walking in. What it doesn't show is him walking out. At 1:55 a.m., just before closing time, cameras show Brian stepping out briefly into the hall with two women. They chat for a minute, then the women leave. Brian turns around and walks back toward the bar's entrance. He is never seen again. No footage of him exiting through the escalator. No footage from the back door. No footage from the stairs, the service elevator, the emergency exits. He simply disappears inside a bar with only one way in and out, covered by multiple security cameras. Investigators combed through hours of footage frame by frame, analyzing every person leaving the bar. Everyone was accounted for, except Brian. Friends were confused. His girlfriend Alexis was frantic. She had spoken to Brian earlier that evening and said he was in a good mood. He told her he loved her and couldn't wait for the beach. When she called his phone the next day, it rang, and it kept ringing for days. In fact, on April 6th, 5 days after Brian vanished, his phone rang 3 times. Each time it went to voicemail. But the third time, it actually connected, just for a moment. The phone pinged off a tower in Hilliard, Ohio, about 14 miles away from the bar. Police searched the area. Nothing. Cellular experts later said it might have been a glitch, a ghost ring, but it was enough to give his family hope. And more questions. Brian had no history of mental illness. He hadn't packed any belongings. His credit cards, bank account, email, and phone activity all stopped that night. He hadn't argued with anyone. He hadn't hinted at leaving. His mother, Renee, was dying of cancer. He was close with his younger brother, Derek. His relationship with Alexis was solid, happy in fact. They were planning their future. And yet he was gone. Police explored every theory. Foul play? Possibly. But there were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no witnesses. The bar staff didn't remember anything unusual. Voluntary disappearance? Maybe. But why leave without telling a soul? Why leave his dying mother, his girlfriend, his career? Accident? Could he have fallen or gotten stuck in some hidden part of the building? Investigators searched the bar from top to bottom, including construction zones, storage areas, and ventilation shafts. Nothing. One theory suggests Brian might have changed clothes in the bar and slipped out unnoticed, blending in with the crowd. Another posits that he used an unmonitored service exit leading to a back alley where he met someone or something unplanned. But the camera facing that exit didn't capture him leaving. Unless he somehow dodged the view, the math doesn't add up. And still, no body, no trace, no confirmed sighting in 18 years. Brian's father, Randy, never stopped looking. He plastered missing posters around Ohio, hired private investigators, and appeared on national television. But the trail always ended at the same place, the Ugly Tuna Saloona, in that final second of footage. In a tragic twist, Randy died in 2008, just 2 years after Brian's disappearance, struck by a tree during a windstorm. At his funeral, Alexis said she hoped Brian would show up. He didn't. The family left a space open at the front, just in case. Over the years, theories have multiplied. Some believe Brian was abducted, perhaps by a human trafficking ring or criminal gang, but nothing in his background supports that. Others suggest he staged his own disappearance, faked his identity, and is living somewhere under the radar. But he left behind everything, and no activity on his social security number has been reported. Then there are darker rumors that Brian never left the bar alive, that something happened, something covered up by employees, patrons, or even law enforcement. The building was undergoing renovations at the time. Could he have fallen into a construction zone, been hidden behind a wall, a sealed crawl space? Searches have been conducted. The area has been remodeled. Nothing has ever been found. In 2021, internet sleuths reignited interest in the case when facial recognition AI falsely identified Brian in a viral TikTok video taken in Tijuana. The man looked like him, same build, similar features, but it wasn't Brian. Still, hope lives in digital footprints. The Reddit forum r/unresolved mysteries has dozens of threads dedicated to Brian's case, some with thousands of comments. Web sleuths continue to dissect every detail of the footage, every photograph from that night, every potential clue, but no new evidence has ever emerged. Brian Shaffer remains one of the most baffling missing person cases in modern history because he disappeared under conditions that should have made it impossible. He was on camera. He was in a public place. He was with friends. He was being watched. And yet, he vanished. To this day, many people believe Brian may still be alive. Some say he escaped to start over. Others believe something tragic happened that night, something never uncovered. But whatever the truth is, it's locked behind the lens of a security camera that showed him walking in, but never walking out.